Hi, I'm Lisa Irons and I'm Head of Customer Transformation at Hastings Direct. As a whole digital arm back to our plans to be the biggest and best digital insurer, it feels like we've been given that technology, given that ability, given that power. The technology is actually easy to implement, so it doesn't feel laborious, it doesn't feel arduous, it doesn't feel hard as a thing to do or to implement. It feels pretty damn cool. So a lot of our customers want to self-serve, they want to use their app. One of the big things for our customers is probably, you should know me, you have all of my data, so why am I inputting the same things into the IVR that you already know? A really big win for us is we're using asynchronous as a channel, and we've authenticated those customers already, so they go into the app, I need to message you. 30% of our customers contact us outside of the core call centre hours, so that authentication piece is really big for us. The ability for us to use digital channels to help customers, even outside of core operational hours, is something that I'm really passionate about. We went from on-premise server to cloud, and at the same time we were moving our entire data warehouse to cloud. Unified channel for us for customers meant that we weren't quite so disparate and segregated. Previously we would have some of our digital channels in different platforms, we'd have telephony in a separate channel. Now we've got all the channels in one place. The shift from the platform we were on to NICE and CXone was a really big deal for colleagues, and I think we forget that. The ability to have something like Expert and that knowledge management repository in the same place where the colleague is actually speaking to a customer, that's huge for them in terms of that upside. When we moved platform, we weren't actually looking to get an efficiency gain. We weren't necessarily even thinking about customer experience, we just had to move platform, and we actually got an unintentional upside, which sounds quite staggering. Some of those stats, some of those metrics were really big. So immediately after the switchover, we got a 26% productivity uptick. We got a 6% LCP total cost reduction. We had a 3% immediate transfer reduction. One of the other things that we're really starting to build upon now is our knowledge management repository. I know everyone talks about AI right now as a buzzword, but ultimately we can't really have an AI model overlaid on top of that unless we have actually built the foundations using AI and the content repository to kind of bring together those two quite disparate elements that are as they're thought of normally, and really serve that content to the colleagues, so that rather than a pull relationship, we are pushing that content to them. I think from my perspective that's super exciting. I think I'm going to use the G word, I'm going to say it's game changing. My goal, my aim, how we win, is to think about how we can get that content to the colleagues, served to them at the right time. The feedback we've had from that has been phenomenal. Probably the first proof concept we've done where colleagues have just unanimously been so positive, because it really helps them day to day, and they can see how this supports them and the customer. We've really started to think about what are the use cases and really start to think about how we support the colleague to support the customer. So those conversations are, how do we use AI in a really appropriate, controlled way? So yes, it's really exciting, but ultimately we just have to remember the responsibility we have for effectively putting those guardrails around quite a lot. One of the big things that we're just starting to work on now is automated QA. For a contact centre, that's huge, but to actually QA every single contact that anyone gets is virtually impossible. You just would not be able to do that, but the technology has really opened up the ability for proactive intervention is just huge for us. So rather than us doing quality assessing after the fact, the ability for us to spot a customer in need when they are on that phone call, having that chat, having that asynchronous message, that is probably a CX game changer for me. I think it's huge, it's exciting. We are able to lead the charge on this.